Hello artists! We are going to be making some spooky still life drawings. So I set up a collection of objects that make me think of October or fall, and we are going to draw them from observation in our sketchbooks. When making a still life artwork, artists are using their eyes and observing what's in front of them rather than drawing from their imaginations. If you ask me to draw a pumpkin or an eyeball or some flowers from imagination, it might look something like this. So, not my best drawing skills. So let me give you some tips for drawing from observation instead. Before you even pick up a pencil, I want you to think about your composition. How zoomed in do you want to be on the objects that you draw? Do you want to go way up close and only draw one or two things really big and detailed? Or would you like to pull further back and include as many of the objects in front of you as possible? So it's up to you to think about what objects you really want to focus on and where you'd like to get started. For me, I wanted to start with the pumpkin, and I kind of drew it about medium size. I knew I wanted to include lots of other objects around the pumpkin, but I'm sure some of them are probably going to wind up spilling off the edge of my paper. So drawing from observation is a tough skill. It does take some practice and patience, but what you do after you've, kind of zoomed in and sort of figured out what you want to focus on, just really spend a lot of time looking at these objects and thinking about, okay, well, where do you feel comfortable starting off? For me, I felt comfortable starting off at the pumpkin stem, and then it kind of just, once I'm done drawing that, I kind of see what's happening next to it and then next to it, and it kind of just grows. Your drawing will just grow outward from there. So I kind of came to a pause now, and I'm going to think about, okay, well, what do I want to draw next? I'm kind of thinking about doing this little bottle and then starting to add these little grasses and flowers. So I'm just gonna kind of think about, okay, well, I noticed that the bottle's kind of behind and overlapped by this pumpkin. So I'm gonna try to get my drawing to kind of start here, to grow from the pumpkin, kind of just like where this bump is, somewhere about right there. And then I'm gonna kind of grow upward, and I'm trying to get my eyeball to move across these objects at the same speed that my pencil is moving. And I noticed that it kind of gets skinnier near the top there, so that's kind of why my line did that. So you're really trying to get your eyes and your brain and your pencil to all work together. It's a tough skill. It takes practice, so go slow, don't rush this, and really spend a lot of time observing these objects. So I kind of just did like those little curved lines at the top of the bottle, and then I'm going to come back down, and eventually it's going to kind of disappear behind my pumpkin again. Okay, just like that. And it's up to you. Do you want to include these details? Like I see some words and things like that on the bottle, or you might just want to skip that and focus on some other things. Like I'm going to start to have the grasses that are kind of peeking out, just lots and lots of lines. And then from where I'm sitting, I really only see two flowers, like with the centers. There's some petals peeking out over there, but I'm going to focus on the ones that are kind of like facing me a little bit better first. And where do you want to start? I'm going to start near the centers, okay? And then the other one, actually, it's a lot taller than where my skull head is. So maybe my flower is really going to be kind of up here and over here, okay? So if you mess up, no big deal. Just erase it and try it again. This is just practice. So even if it doesn't really turn out the way you imagine, or you see it with your eyes, like I said, like any other skill, it takes practice. I'm noticing these are super textured at the center, so I could just leave it like that, or maybe I'll even add like some little like texture lines to give it that kind of like fuzzy, furry sort of look. Okay, so if you want to add texture or shading or extra details like that, like I added some shading on my skull's like eye sockets, feel free to do that. I'm noticing from observation there's a lot of petals here. I don't need to draw every single one, but I notice there's almost like one row of short petals, then another row, and then another row, and they just kind of keep building outwards. So I might kind of draw it like that, kind of like my first row of petals. And the first row, they're kind of rounder looking, so I'm kind of drawing them almost like a bumpy line or a curved line. But then the next row, if you look, they get kind of more pointed and they stick out further. So maybe something like that going all the way around. And this flower already is looking a lot more realistic than this flower that I drew. Okay, so drawing from observation is what's gonna really help you out, slow down. All right, well, good luck today, and I'm excited to see what you come up with.